All right, everybody, welcome into this week's episode of the DNVR Rapids podcast presented by Ivaka TV. I am your host, Mitchell Carroll, joined, of course, by the illustrious superest of super producers, Yahir G. Vazquez, my guy.
How you guys doing, man?
We're good. We're
How are you?
in.
Second to last
I'm
day
chilling.
as a single man. I wouldn't say free man. I think that's inappropriate, but single man is appropriate.
I've never been free, man.
Spoken like
I've
a
been
true
chained.
Rapids supporter.
I've been chained to my own depression and mind for the last 25 years.
Oh,
Let's
boy.
go.
Oh, boy. All right, well,
What a way to start.
this guy you see below us, I'm sure you know him if you are a DNVR supporter in any way, shape, or form. The general manager of DNVR Sports, host of bets, host of the tailgate, host of any draft shows, DNVR Fantasy. The list goes on and on. The great Italian man himself, Andre Simone. Welcome in, bud.
My Burgundy boys, how are you?
It's good. It's good to have you, man. We haven't done a Rapid
Been a
show
long
together
time.
yet, and this
I
is.
know.
You took the reins when we started DNVR Rapids last season, and here we are now, almost half a season into the next, and we're working it.
Look
So
at that.
actually, Dre started the DNVR Rapids when it was still BSN.
That's
BSN
true.
Rapids.
Yes, BSN
yeah.
Rapids.
Many eons ago. Yeah, and I have you guys have handled this whole season without me, and it's been glorious to watch, guys. It's been really fun to see you grow the community and see this Rapids coverage. It hasn't been the greatest first half of the season, but that's the MLS for you, baby. Who cares what happened before the summer? Things are just heating up now. So no, credit to you, and it's really nice to be back on.
I mean, look
And of
at
course-
Seattle, right? Seattle was at the bottom of the league. They
Yeah.
were focused on champions, and right now they're knocking on that.
They're in the playoffs
playoff
with 2
spot.
games in hand, man. It's how it looks. NYC at the top of the East with games in hand as well.
Yeah.
But Dre, you said it yourself. It's heating up, and what heating up means to me here at DNVR Rapids is transfer window time, baby, transactions. Of course, with the NBA draft this week, tomorrow, NBA free agency next week. It is rumor central around here. And of course, we have to apply that to the soccer world as well. You obviously a AC Milan fan. I tortured by United. You got Yahir, the Barca boy.
Yeah,
Boo.
I've had a great run until last year without Messi.
But look,
Can't complain that much.
we love rumors. We're not necessarily going to look at every rumor. MLS does not obviously have the most rumors of any league. What we're going to do is look at what players came into the Rapids in the winter window. We're going to kind of see how what we thought those players would do this season. Is that still true? 20 plus games in,
Yeah,
or almost 20 games in. And then
crazy.
does that mean we have to change what we want to see in this window? Do we have any targets in this window? Do we think anyone's going to leave? So we're going to kind of go from one into the other, kind of work both at the same time. And then at the end, me and Dre are going to talk some MLS bets with Yahir here, producer of bets. So, I mean, this is the dream team right here, talking
Indeed.
bets. And sort of what did we bet at the start of the season on futures? Do we need to hedge those? What is a good bet to hedge with? And then we're going to send Yaya off into the married life with some marriage advice. Me and Andre here, both long-term relationships, married, and we're going to make sure Yahir goes in with the best advice possible. So, and anybody in the comments,
for that segment.
anybody in the comments, feel free to drop your advice as well. We want to make sure he's ready for this, baby.
Yeah, no doubt. I did not prep. That's the one segment I did no prep for. So
Zero prep.
let's pray for
You
that.
can't prep for marriage, man. It is what it is. It comes and it
Live
goes.
baby, day to day.
Great advice. It's true.
All right, so let's look at the 5 players we want to look at that came in that winter window. And I know Yaya has that there. Of course, we got on the left there, it's Abubakar Keita, came in on a trade. We have Brian Acosta replacing Kellen Acosta. Right there in the middle, of course, Giassi Zardes, the big late window addition.
Mhm.
We have the young Brazilian Max and Gustavo Vallecilla traded from Cincinnati at center back right there. I think we can just knock Abubakar Keita out right there. He was towards ACL preseason, hasn't seen the field. I think when that went through, it was like, okay, cool, we have depth, young guy, can develop with Rapids too. Maybe he's ready once Trusty goes, right? And then he's out and he's gone. I still think long term I like his fit, athletic, rangy, not the ball handler that Trusty is, but I think potential, you see it there. I think he can fit that back line really well for what Frazier does. And then if we're talking center backs, I mean, that trade for Gustavo Vallecilla, I think the biggest thing you see with Vallecilla, and that is just physicality. He is a monster. And he's only 6'2", but he looks bigger than everyone else on that field. Built, strong.
You've been high on him. You're really excited about Vallecilla.
Height watch, baby. That's my thing.
He's literally, I feel like if you have to give him a comp to anybody in Denver, it's going to be Jamal Murray.
It is.
Like, super athletic guy, super, like, same height. Like, he's built, but, like, he's also really, really quick.
It's funny that those two actually physically are, like, the closest comp you could come up with. And we're saying huge, right? Huge for soccer, huge. He's a big guy, but then Jamal Murray's his comp, which is funny.
Is he more of a long-term, like, in an ideal world, the more physical, concrete replacement for Lalas in that back three?
Oh, definitely. If anybody's gonna take Lala's spot, it's gonna be Vallecilla. They have that. They play the same way, like that physicality, quick, and they're always pushing forward, kind of like what Lalas does.
Yeah, right. And Lalas can get a little CONCACAF. It'd be nice to have someone who's a bit more of an enforcer with less of the sideshow. And then Keita was kind of thought of, okay, the roll of the dice. Maybe he can be the trusty guy.
Much more trusty than Lawless, yes.
Yeah. Especially like last year when 2 years ago when they acquired Trusty, he was a long-term project too. He was a guy that it took Frazier a while for him to get confidence with him, start him in the lineup. So that was I thought that was the projection that Keita was going with, but injuries always derail a lot of those plans.
So that's kind of the biggest hole to fill.
Center
remaining
back.
here.
Definitely,
Center back and replacing Austin Trusty, who is off as soon as that July window opens. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah,
he'll be an Arsenal-man, Kroenke-man. Don't expect him to play there. They'll probably loan him out, I would assume, before that window closes. But
interesting to follow that.
Maybe he hangs on. Who knows? You'd love to see him go to like a I don't know, Dutch league team. Maybe a PSV or something along those lines.
Similar to this Sammy
like
Vines, Cole Bassett route, right? Kind of.
I think he has a little higher upside play, and I think reputation coming into a Premier League team like that might get him, to like a Union Berlin or even something like that. That may not be playing for European spots in any 3 European spots, but still playing in a top league. But
maybe
that could be
a third tier team in the top tier league for sure.
I think that would be your ideal.
And not as young as the other guys they've shipped out. Like sometimes we forget Trusty's already in his early 20s. It's not like he just turned 21 like some of the other academy products. So I'll be intrigued for what happens with them in Europe. And I don't know. I mean, hasn't been as great a season, a little up and down. So maybe it's not a huge loss, but.
And I think Trusty's going to be replaced with a midfielder more than a defensive back, than a center back, actually.
Interesting.
I think they're going to go with the 4-back, and they're going to try to put another midfielder in there.
That's interesting, yeah, because I mean, Vallecilla definitely projects as a starter now. He started for Cincinnati all last season. He was, according to every Cincinnati fan you can talk to, he was the highlight of Cincinnati's defense. Honestly, the highlight of that roster last season. They love him. He's physical. He is pretty decent with the ball. I mean, you don't want him starting runs like a Lucas or a Keegan or anything like that, but he can play the ball out of the back. He's had a couple mistakes here and there, but I think that is more about playing time and consistency in playing time than it is skill set. And if they do a more of a depth move at center back and say, hey, Vicey, it's your spot there on the left, I think I'm okay with that.
Interesting. You guys have me excited about that.
Dude.
We haven't seen him play a lot, but
no.
Considering the needs, the holes that'll be here after the summer window, seems like an app signing that could bring some nice dividends.
One thing we have seen though, and this is kind of the wrench in that center back plan, is Frazier loves subbing on another outside back and pushing Keegan to that center back spot where Lawless plays on the right there. I don't think that would be his long-term plan to end a season, right?
Sure,
to play 20 games
Yeah.
or whatever's left, half the season, whatever it is. That's a dangerous plan, I think. Even if Beta's playing really well, even if Mark Anik is coming in and playing well as a young guy, I still think you need to trust the guys that have been in the system for the season at center back and find some depth at center back and let Keegan be the excellent right back that he is.
Yeah, can't disagree with you guys on that one.
Yeah.
And
all right, go ahead.
Another thing with the backs that I'm wondering is Lucas's loan was supposed to expire in July, but according to Yahoo Sports, they extended it until next. They extended it another year or so,
Let's
and they kept
go.
at the buy clause, which makes me think that they might not be sold on him, especially after seeing Markinich play.
I think it's worth
cost
keeping it around to
effective.
end it, but yeah, I mean,
that's
Markinich's been great.
Yeah, he's a super cost-effective guy. So, and then MLS Super Draft guy came in first game, and he was controlling. He was Bobby McCarr, man. He was asking for that. He was asking for the ball. He was calling for it. Like first time out there, he was like telling people where to move. He was yelling at him like, "Get out the way," and like directing traffic. Like for a rookie, a 23-year-old rookie, man, that's pretty impressive.
And then his second game was kind of a disaster, but that's okay. He rallied.
The first game is all that matters.
That's okay. Okay, go ahead and pull up that acquisition there if you can one more time. Yeah. I think we'll kind of do more of a midfield view there because it's kind of hard to not talk about Max and Acosta in terms of fit because you kind of have to commit to one or the other. What we've seen lately is Acosta, I think a lot of people are like, okay, like for like, Acosta can kind of control half the midfield with Price. He not necessarily going to take the Kellen Acosta free kick role. He's not going to, dominate with skill, but he's a veteran presence, played for the national team with Honduras, longtime MLS vet. And I think what we've seen is it's been a really clunky fit next to Price because I think he's not an Acosta type. He's a Price type, and you don't need two Prices.
I mean, you could have a double playmaking midfield. We see that at some like high level teams, but I think it's kind of at the heart of what Yahya was saying with maybe a transition from a 5-man D to a 4-man D is the midfield has really changed drastically with Kellen Acosta and Cole Bassett not being in there and kind of giving you some more positionless football. We're really trying to find out the identity of this team. Especially the front, the players in the front 7 and on, and like Acosta has been easily my least favorite acquisition.
It's not close. And it's not that he's my least favorite acquisition because I understand where Porg's head is at there, right? This guy, he's not going to leave for Europe, right? I think MLS is where he's going to stay.
For sure.
Maybe goes to Mexico or something like that, right? But this is a guy that has proven that he can hang in this league's style and can be successful. But you don't know what the fit is until you play, right? In theory, is the curse of the GM, right? It makes sense until it doesn't, and that doesn't mean it can't still, right? I think we've only really seen about 5 or 6 games of those two together, right? Like they can figure it out. They're both Price and Acosta are undoubtedly the savviest players on the field.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the biggest issue with those two together is when they had Kellen Acosta. Kellen was a box to box. He was running back and forth, and he was opening that field up for Price. There's Acosta likes to stay back a little bit more and play in the same places that Price plays in, and that makes Mark Anthony Cake be the box to box midfield, and that's not what he's good at. He's more of an attacking midfielder, and he needs that help creation in the mid, which Acosta's not helping out with.
Right. And so if that doesn't work, right, you say, okay, well, we bring in this other midfielder who's much more of an attacking midfielder than Max. Really an unknown unless you are deep in the South American soccer scouting world. He was really an unknown with just an insane highlight reel from Flamengas, yeah? No. Doesn't matter. He's here now.
He was on both. He was on loan somewhere. I'll look it up.
I think so he is undoubtedly saucy with the ball at his feet, and we've seen flashes here and there. But I mean, his best moment may be in the CONCACAF elimination game in the freezing cold when he had only been with the team for about whatever, 8 days or something like that. It's
Was
been a
that his
struggle
very
since.
first appearance?
That was his first appearance. Yes. Yep.
So
I wonder if there's
how
something
telling
to,
is
like,
that?
Yeah. I mean, they were like ready to get him involved immediately.
And I
And he
wonder if
looked
there's
his
something
best
to,
then.
Yes. Yes.
for sure. Like, and there's like something to being like baller. You just let ballers ball. Like,
Yeah,
he didn't
absolutely.
have to worry about a formation. He didn't have to worry about all these tactics. He just had to go out there and play his game.
Yeah.
And that's when he was most comfortable. Maybe now that he's like had to like learn all the tactics, he feels like he's getting pigeonholed one way or another, which is makes him overthink, which makes him be slower than he actually is.
Yeah.
And like the hardest thing is he's not an English speaker, like at all, like zero, like does not speak English. And the interpreter has taken time. I think, about a month, probably about 5 weeks ago, we were talking to Frazier, and he said that the breakthrough had come in the last 2 or 3 weeks, right? So we're talking the last 2 months, but really we're only talking the last 4 games, right? And the breakthrough in training has come through, and his ability to just have conversations. And that was what he said. It's like, it's not that I am coaching him. Like I can put up an 11 on a screen and point and where you need to go, and we can talk about that sort of thing. Being able to just be like, hey, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
What's up?
No, it's crazy. And he's the one who I think has suffered most, obviously integrating himself in the team, which is just like a whole other aside for a young player. But with that lack of kind of stable structure, especially from the midfield on, where he couldn't just be inserted like a Cole Bassett and just allowed to ball, like you're saying. Yeah. He kind of feels like the reins have had to been pulled back and pulled back and pulled back. And it's really encouraging that some breakthroughs are occurring here, because you just want him to kind of have that structure and he be the one who can freelance, create some magic, be saucy on the ball. What impressed me from his stuff in Brazil was his long passing. His deep line passing seemed really, really just magnificent with that. So
you would think left side him with the ball at his feet, being able to catch Mikey on a run on the other side, to really set up some crosses. It makes so much sense, and you can see the flashes. And I think he really had his best game against Nashville right before the break. He played about 30 minutes. I mean, the game was gone, right? It was 3-0. Yeah. Game's pretty much done. But he came in, and him and Mikey, I think really – and this is actually – he was playing more on the right, which was interesting to me because he loves to drift up and to the left. And he was kind of holding there on the right side, letting Mac kind of take front and left. And he opened up a lot of room for Mikey Barrios, who coincidentally is also playing his best. And that might kind of play into some future looking ahead to the transfer window and who might be leaving or not. It's definitely going to be an impact there. But you just see it, right? And I think, they paid $1 million for this kid to come in. Yeah, I know Porg's confident in that being a good signing, and I think Porg has earned the benefit of the doubt, I would say, on something like that, right? So where does he fit, right? Left, right? So Lucas loves to drift up high left. Lewis loves to drift even higher left. Yeah. And those are kind of the mainstays. So how do you break that in? Is it a 4, like Yahir said, are you going to drop 4 back, add him in as another midfielder and kind of play 4-4-2 with just Rubio Zardes and kind of throw the wingers out? Like what, it's really tough to find an ideal formation for this guy.
Oh, it's easy, man. Just take Lewis out and put him right there.
Yeah, I'm
literally, that's literally just take Lewis out and put him right there on the left side. Like, it's that simple. Lewis is a great super sub. We saw it on Sunday, man. He came in and he was energetic. Awesome. He gave a spark plug. If he would have played the whole game, I don't think he would have been that effective.
And that's how Kellen was playing towards the end of the year. They could put him out wide, and he could be box to box. He could insert himself. He could kind of come central. He could go wide, and he had the ability to make those long passes and kind of play make from any spot you put him in.
Yeah, and people don't remember. Yeah, people don't remember that Kellen Acosta and Brian Galvan, both wingers, were playing wing back. They're playing defensive wing back all last year, and they were great at it.
Yeah.
Man, Galvan, that's even a wrinkle that we don't really talk about enough, I think. And I kind of thought about that today. When I was thinking about Keita, I was like, God, Keita and Galvan with ACLs before a game happened is just brutal.
I mean, last year's Rapids were like an old Dutch total football team, super positionless, like everyone filled in. They'll just press you and run to death. Like 3 different guys can go wide here. 3 different guys can go wide here. Bassett's inserting himself every which way, and they were a really tough team to key in on and do that with. They're really figuring that out, and they don't have that synergy and chemistry right now.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because I think there's two guys immediately come to mind that aren't capable of doing that, right? That they need to contribute. It's Mac, who isn't positionless, right? Yeah. Mac has a area of the field where he is most effective. He's very good in that area of the field, but he cannot drop, play. He can't be a false 9 to a 6 to an 8. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this guy is who he is. And then, yeah, I guess that really is the main guy to me. I think Acosta fits in there, but he hasn't played enough to consider
Acosta
it.
Fits in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and now, not to do your job, but we could transition to Zardes, a way less fluid, positionless striker. All of a sudden, there's a guy up top who can hold the ball up, who can be a central focus of your wide play and crosses, but that takes away that positionless structure. Like, now we got to play a little more within the rules to feed this guy and bank some goals.
I thought he had his best hold-up play yet against New York. And I think part of that is the tiny pitch and being able to 1-2 pass, and all of a sudden you're in a position to hold up, where that's not the case at Dick's at all. Completely the opposite. But, everyone is I feel like everyone's so nuanced when we're sitting here talking, right? And then, in the hours after a game, it's like, oh, no goals. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think he's in, like, he was in front. Okay. That near goal he had in the first half, right? He was on the correct side. He had his defender on his back on a direct run 2 goal in an onside position. And the ball missed him by like 3 feet, right? If that ball's on, it's a goal. And we're talking about how great he fit into that and they scored, right? But is that his fault that the cross didn't get to him? Right. And so now I'm saying he does need to be more impactful. He has not had the impact he needs. Mm-hmm. But the problem with him is he's so dependent on the rest of the squad to get to him. Right.
Yes.
He's the rich man's badgie. And that's why it makes sense that they went and got him. He's like the millionaire's badgie, billionaire's badgie. Right.
Put in Zardes in last year's team, and that dude was a 20-goal scorer, like, for sure. Dude, Baji came in and he was dominating. Like, Baji came in and he was a spark plug. It's like, imagine putting Zardes in that role, and he would have been killing it. And I've also realized that this squad is way more suited for Rubio than last year's squad, because this allows Rubio to be more free because everybody else is in their own positions, and he can move around anywhere he wants now. Well, last year, since everybody was moving around, I feel like he got lost in like places, and he didn't know where to go. So that's an added wrinkle.
It definitely puts Frazier, I think, in a difficult spot, right? God, yeah, Logan, you nailed it, man. The homie Logan, shout out. Actually, someone told me they saw you rocking the DNVR scarves at the tailgate, Logan. So shout out you, bud.
Logan, our guy.
But you're right, Galvan. And it's funny because they had to bring in another winger. They just brought in another winger. They brought Sam Nicholson back. So now you got Lewis, Barrios, Max potentially playing in that spot, but not a like for like. And then you got Nicholson. Oh, and then sometimes you see Mosquito playing up. Sometimes and you still have Rubio in there and Zardes, and then
Dylan Cerna's back. I've been told. So you've got names, baby. You've got names. Got to figure that out.
But you think of what a healthy Galvan does in terms of your season and your transfer windows and your reinforcements. He might be back for a playoff game, but I wouldn't, right? Tore your ACL in February. Do you want to play in heavy games in October?
No.
So you just have to bank on next season, and he is extended and he's locked in, so he'll be back. It's not, unless someone really wants him off an ACL. That's
how the Rapids got him, actually.
Yeah.
That literally happened that's how Rapids came to Galvan, because Galvan, I think he was Colo-Colo. He tore his ACL, same leg and everything. And he became a free agent, and they tried to re-sign him. But he's like, oh, you guys didn't want me when I had my ACL tore? So he signed with the Rapids instead. That's the main reason why the Rapids re-signed him. They didn't want him to, get upset again.
Yeah. Look, I think Okay, so if you had to choose a guy, and yeah, you can definitely lead this one up. You had to choose a guy from those 5 there. Well, really, it's 4 because Keita. But like, who do you think has met expectations the most from when we were breaking down the acquisition to now?
It has to be Vazquez. None of them have really like reached the expectations we wanted. But if you put all of them on like what we expected from them, I think Vazquez, we were a little bit like we were excited, but we also tempered that we knew it would take some time.
Yeah,
and I think he's like when he has played, he's been effective, not a star or anything. He's made mistakes, of course, but I feel like it has to be Vazquez, the guy that's actually like been the most impactful in games at least.
He have like the 5 or 6 total appearances. Oh man, it's bleak. It's bleak. Yeah.
So I mean, 121 minutes in the MLS. It's hard to.
This season,
I would argue it's Zardes who at least has been plug and play, been able to take on those heavy minutes. Was acquired way later than anyone else.
I mean, like as late as it got, really. There's a week left of the window or something like that. Yeah.
And has a goal to his name. Like,
I like the break. He does have an assist as well.
Yeah, I like the breakdown you gave of some of the improvements we're seeing the last couple games. Like
which aren't enough. It's not enough. I would like no keep that asterisk there, but
they're very much figuring it out.
Yes.
The back hasn't been as solid as we might have expected, and the front has been figuring it out.
Yeah. So then let's look at this window coming up here, right? Trusty, is leaving. Defense needs reinforcements. Team has struggled to score goals without multiple goals on the road this season.
Crazy.
Has not had multiple goals on the road yet this season. Only scored 3 goals one time against Atlanta, I believe, in the home opener. So they need goals and they need defensive reinforcements. I don't necessarily think they need to splurge on a center back to DP or anything like that. But I mean, if we're talking dreams, and we kind of put this in our chat, I put it in late last night because I was just going down a rabbit hole, baby. I think dreams up front, if you can steal Haji Wright, his offers are all low level European teams, right? Like, Lens and like other lower French league teams, which that is a top 5 league technically, but like it's the Farmers League, right? It's not the highlights. And if these MLS teams want to make these investments and actually have these insane team values hold their water, it's time to get American stars and pay for American stars, right? And I think Haji Wright up front, then you can get really weird with your positions. You can have Zardes and Haji. Rubio is that false. I mean, you can just do all sorts of stuff. Yeah. I don't necessarily think it's realistic. Again, that's my dream. Get him in here. My other dream target, and it's weird because everyone likes in America doesn't really look at European and like big names and like who's the Premier League grabbing. But I think John David Brooks, if you could convince him, he's had a not rough career, but it definitely didn't reach the heights it could have reached in Germany. If you can convince an American star to come over here and be a star and be a DP defensive player and make pretty good money, because he would demand pretty good money. I think then you put him right in the middle.
Yes.
Right? Like dead center. Because Wilson has been great. We can get into that if we want later, but I think that really changes your entire defensive outlook.
Yeah, that'd be massive. That'd be huge. I mean, then you would really trust the back 3. And you arguably upgraded on Trusty, which seems like a complete pipe dream right now that you could upgrade at that position.
Because if you were rolling out any combination of Lawless, Brooks, Vazquez, Wilson probably being my 4th favorite of that group.
Wow.
Just with his play of late. It's been rough. It's been really rough. You're bigger, stronger, and more physical. You're going to win in the air. Lawless is already one of the league leaders in aerial wins, and you saw it against New York. He was impactful there. I just think that's how you let those wingers really get free and really play loose, is if those 3 are going to win anything that comes in their way.
Yeah. Yeah, John Brooks would be a nice impact on set pieces too.
Not realistic. I think he's already working with I saw it, Hoffenheim. is what it's looking like for him. But he is German. I mean, he's American, but he's German, so
Right,
it makes sense. That's where most of that national team, I think half that locker room at one point was literally speaking German instead of English. But whatever. So those are dream. Do you guys have any pie in the sky? Get them to the Rapids, guys.
I have two.
Go for it.
Hit me, baby.
My first one, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, no shit." Like it's Jairo Torres. He went to Cincinnati.
Of course. Yep.
Dude,
Yep.
I loved him so much in Atlas. He was great in Mexico. That's a guy like the Rapids in their winger. That guy's explosive. He's great at centering, but he's a great shooter as well. That's a player I wish the Rapids would have targeted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a player that I was really into. I known that Cincinnati was gonna get him. I would have called Porg and been like, Porg, what are you doing, dude? Like, just offer $1 more. Like that's all you need.
Right.
The other one, it's super unrealistic, but it's Tati Castellanos from NYFC. Dude is unrealistic, but he was wearing the Rapids.
Yeah.
See, look at that. Look how gorgeous he looks.
Is that a Photoshop? Look at that.
Dude, he was wearing it after the game. I think he
he
switched
switched.
jerseys. Yeah, he swapped jersey with somebody.
Oh,
and I mean, I saw that. I'm like, dude, looks gorgeous in burgundy and blue, man. I'm like, that baby blue does not fit him as well as that burgundy, and I would love Castellanos. And
he is unreal, too, man. He has been. God,
just put him up there with the best looking dudes of Denver immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah. Geez, Yahya really went high in the sky on us.
Yeah, Dre, who do you got?
I would have gone Sebastian Jovinko. Who was acquired on a free transfer just this last window by Sampdoria, who had a really down year.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get relegated, which complicate things. Obviously, maybe the greatest player in MLS history, certainly on that short list. I think he'd still be able to give a lot and would be incentivized to come back. The money required on his contract might be a little much. And, I know he was really attached to Canada. Would he be as intrigued to kind of come to Middle America? I'm not so sure. And yeah, we just haven't seen a track record of spending to that level. But he would be an absolute game changer and could be that second striker with Sardes to completely he was playing with Josie at Toronto and that worked.
Yeah, and playing really well.
Yeah.
Who's another Italian striker, and you and me talked about how he'd be a perfect fit for the MLS, but is probably unrealistic, would be Balotelli.
He would be phenomenal and make I honestly don't know why that's not.
He's in second division Turkey or something like that, or just first division Turkey, but on a minor team.
Something like that.
It's exactly. What are you doing? Come to America and be a super duper mega MLS star.
Yeah, just the PR push that he would give.
He'd be a Zlatan immediately, just all the things you would say. He would take that
goals on goals.
Well, and at least he gives you highlights. Every level he's been at, he's never been consistent, but he's given you highlights, which this league could certainly benefit from.
Big time.
He's not making a ton of money, and his agent Mino Raiola, one of the two big power brokers in the world stage, passed recently. So I don't know, maybe in a bit of a personal transition period and career transition period, that'd be really attractive.
Two realistic names, and when I was digging into two realistic names, it was all center back, and I was really researching because this is where Porg has found a lot of success, is these South American guys that are European bound eventually, right? That track European bound, aren't European bound, right? Whether they go from their local, from wherever their country to Brazil or Argentina to Europe, or if they can make the MLS or Liga MX jump to Europe, whatever that is. It's two center backs to look out for. Joel Ordonez is from Ecuador. He's 18. Ecuador has really one club, and I'm not going to try and pronounce it, but it's the club that produces Ecuadorian talent before they get out. He's a center back. Tracks really well. And then Nicolas Marshall from Uruguay, he's 21. He doesn't have European offers yet, but everyone thinks that he will get there. Cheap options, big, strong skill set, center backs. Seems like something that Port could capitalize on in terms of being a conduit for South American talent to come in on a affordable price before they become unaffordable.
It's an intriguing model. A lot of growth potential.
I mean, look, Max, Lucas, Why am I blanking? There's two more on the team.
Max. Oh, YFC. Are you talking about South Americans?
I'm just talking about
YFC,
South Americans who have come up and trend up from here, right?
I think Galvan is another one.
Galvan.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you can harness that, there's so much talent, and Europe scouts down there, right? It's not like that. Like MLS scouts down there too. Obviously, Borg has found success, but if you can say, man, that guy has, Liverpool's looking at him for loan deals or whatever, right? Or whatever that is, being able to snag those guys early and then have Liverpool buy them from you, or then have, one of these Dutch leagues or whoever buy them from you. That's kind of, just being an intermediary until the MLS establishes itself fully as a buying powerhouse.
Right.
I think would be the move there. All right, let's dig into some bets, but first let's talk about the homies, Ivaka TV. The homies. Yahir loves them. He uses them every time he watches the Rapids. You know why? Because you can watch the Rapids if you have Ivaka TV. What a concept. They have altitude. You know what else they have for the summer? The other boys of summer, the secondary boys of summer, some might call them. You got AT&T Sportsnet. You can watch the Rockies, the Bombers on Blake Street. You can watch that Connor Joe just get on base constantly and not get driven in for winning runs.
The shade.
No shade on the Rockies. Listen to DNVR Rockies. Look, Ivaka is a whole new way to get your TV over-the-air cable, basically. They have a receiver. You can record. You have a DVR. Yaya uses that. Tons. You really can watch almost every single sporting event that you need to watch this summer by having Ivaka TV. Go to ivaka.tv/DNVR. Use promo code DNVR. You get $10 off. Your first 3 months makes it $15 a month plus receiver. No hidden fees, no contracts. It's about as easy as it gets. Sign up with the homies at Ivaka TV and catch the rest of this Rapid season, the last that you will be able to watch on Ivaka TV. So make sure you take advantage of that right now. Well, yeah, because Apple TV's taking over, but for now, the homies got it, dude. We love Ivaka
TV Plus people. Yep,
we love them. All right, so let's talk some futures bets that I jumped on early when we were doing our season preview shows. We had and DraftKings does not love MLS player futures. They've only had Golden Boot and Cup winner.
Yeah.
And that's it. You can't bet on conference, you can't bet on positioning, you can't bet on points over unders, which you think they would open up at some point, but it looks like that's about it. So if you want to throw mine up there first, yeah. So that's my future bet. First, I had Golden Boot, and I still think it's not the worst bet, but I had Carlos Vela at plus 1,000, hat trick on the first day against, unfortunately, the Colorado Rapids. Looked great. He only has, I think, 2 goals since, so he's 3 goals off the pace. But right now, Jeremy Ibobise is tied at the top there with Jesus Ferreira, but he is not the favorite. He's the second favorite, so I like the value of plus 800, and I love that he is the target for San Jose up top. I think that's the move there. To win the Cup, I think I had LAFC at plus 700 as co-favorites. I thought that was the easy bet there. They're down to plus 450, so if you haven't jumped on that, there's not a ton of value there. And I think Philadelphia came out like a house on fire. They've fallen back with New York rising up with games in hand. But I think, we're talking Cup, not league positioning, and I think they can make that run no problem. Plus 1,000. I mean, you just give me an extra digit on there. Like, yes, please. Sign me up. I'll take it. Sprinkle a little something on it.
Yeah, the odds on LAFC and New York City seem really short.
And it seems almost destined for a Cup final to be there, like those two against each other. You never know.
No big names leaving this window, though.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that scares me off big time on
LA
both
specifically.
those futures.
They could be poached, I think, more than any team in the MLS.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. LAFC, I don't think they're trying to sell at this point anymore. I think they're done selling.
Yeah, that's fair. Actually, they just brought in your boy, Andre.
Yeah. So Chiellini in the title run could be, I mean, I don't know how many games he'll be able to play. Like the last few seasons, he's only been able to play 15, 20 games. But if they can get him right and get him peaking and healthy for the playoff run, that's exactly the kind of reliable guy you want on your back line who's handled, you name it, every sort of high pressure cooker in world football. What an asset to have back there. That Carlos Vela interview scared me a little bit though, where it was so ambiguous, as someone who might have sprinkled those futures you gave out.
He wants to jump to Spain so bad.
Carlos Vela ain't leaving, man.
I know he wants to.
He's
not
it, though.
You know it. He wants to get there.
Not. He's either gonna go to Miami or stay in LA.
All over him, man. He has La Liga there.
You have Dre's the US too much.
Do you have Dre's bets there, Yahya?
I do.
Dre, walk me through it here.
Yeah, my love for the products that FC Dallas is able to bring up through the pipeline.
Legendary.
Knows no bounds. Jesus Ferreira tied as the top goal scorer in the league. I think he's still too young to be poached from Europe, which is something that I did factor in a little bit. And that's why I like your JE pick there. But, Castellano scares me a little bit. Vela scares me a little bit.
Yep.
But Jesus Ferreira, he's kind of running the show there. FC Dallas,
current favorite,
fun team, nothing crazy. Scoring a decent amount of goals. Nice to have him there. And then the Sounders. I mean, I've talked about how I am scared off by some of these top teams and some movement maybe. The Sounders have that depth. Obviously, their home field is way up there. And it's a team that's just shown us consistently they know when to peak at the right time. They showed it in their run to Champions League where they kind of neglected the league a bit more and were able to bring home the cup easy breezy. And I think they'll start peaking at the right moment. And they just have that depth, man. They have that depth. They're really well structured. And I think we could be seeing an unprecedented double in the MLS.
Please don't. I'd hate that so much. I would, dude.
I mean, it'd be exciting, man. It'd be good for the MLS. It would, it'd kind of be a bummer for fans.
It would not be good for anybody. Nobody would benefit from that except for Seattle.
It'd be the start of the MLS becoming like every other soccer league in the world.
Yeah, there we go, baby.
Seattle would suck. I would hate it so much, dude. One thing that when you said here, Jesus Pereira, like he's only 21.
He's sick, dude.
Insane.
He's so young.
So sick.
And Pepe just went to Europe at age 19, 18 from Dallas.
Pepe's
like that is
might be
factory, man. That is a factory of product.
Weston McKennie.
Dude.
Yeah.
Kellen Acosta, dude, Mr.
US.
Acosta,
Breck Shea, my guy.
Man.
No one considered Breck Shea in that.
Okay, Breck Shea.
Hey.
Yeah,
okay, before we get into our best wishes for Yahya, I do, and I don't know why I skipped this, but last bit of transfer talk for the Rapids is: do you have a guy you think is outbound? Like that is a piece, not a fringe guy, not a prospect, not like that. Is there a piece that isn't going to be here in a couple weeks? I think the obvious and it points to the Nicholson edition. I think Jonathan Lewis is probably, if I had to place odds, I probably have him as the odds favorite to be out the door. I think his value is higher than around the league than Rapids fans place him. I think and the look on Matt Pollard's face when I said he's playing well but not finishing, he almost had a stroke on set. But he really is. He's getting in position. He's making his runs.
Yeah.
I just think it's a positionally awkward fit right now with Lucas behind him. And I think a good team can get him and make it work really well. And that scares me, and I don't want to see it happen in the West if he does leave, but I think that's the one to look at. Yahir, do you have anybody?
Michael Barrios.
God, he's been playing good too.
I think it would be Michael Barrios because it was a 1-year contract that he got. He got Sam Nicholson. He wasn't finishing. They were expecting more from him. It was kind of a prove-it deal. Lewis' contract doesn't end until 2024. And you've seen that when it's time to take one of them out, it's usually Mikey who comes out and Lewis stays in. So if anybody is going to leave, it's probably going to be Mikey, in my opinion.
Gorgeous goal to get off his goalless run.
No kidding.
Against
No
New York,
kidding,
man. Great move.
happened?
Great move on the center back. Slots it in bottom left on his run from the right. Exactly what you want to see from Mikey.
He's going to want to play New York for the rest of his career, man.
I know.
Like, that small pitch benefits him so much.
That is, like, built for Mikey Barrios. Let's see if New York wants to maybe Tati, Barrios. We could work something out with some GAM money.
Well, like, Barrios is so short,
slots. Like, let's talk, baby. Let's make some magic happen.
Well, like, Barrios is so short. Like, the ratio to the field is, like, perfect. Like, it feels like a full pitch to him because he's, like, so smaller guy. Like, the ratio just fits him perfectly. He's like, oh, wow, this field looks normal to me. It doesn't look huge.
God. What about you, Dre? You got anybody to look out for?
With how he started the season, I would have said Danny Wilson, but I think with how the last 2 months have progressed and the fact that that's the biggest hole on papers at center back, and he's just plummeted his value completely. I don't really see that.
Maybe Union Omaha really wants him for their U.S. Open Cup run.
Oh, geez.
But we saw when Danny Wilson wasn't.
I know.
Offense struggled so much. I hated it. Like, there was no offense from like coming out when Danny Wilson was not there. Like, the ball got stuck and it just nothing would happen. He's been kind of atrocious defensively, but
he's
kind of running everything. Yeah, like
leaky, man. That the tying goal, 3.5 minutes after Barrios takes the lead in New York, he just lets him just waltz into the penalty spot basically with no opposition. And that has been a constant. I think all those big runs, LAFC. I mean, this isn't like a. Ooh, there you go, Logan. Does Mosquito have any value on the transfer market? I can see Porg trying something there. I don't think Mosquito has any. I don't think. I mean, everyone has value on the transfer market. There's no such thing as no value, but I don't think he's going to move the needle too much for teams. It might be a depth signing. If any injuries sustain here over a little bit, maybe a team that's like poised to make runs, like maybe someone like Nashville or New England that just needs reinforcements more so than top line.
I was thinking
guys.
Austin is like a younger team, expansion team that needs a little bit more like MLS experience on their squad. Maybe Mosquito would be the guy that they like target because it's a guy that's been around for a while.
I mean, look, Chinyashiki's scoring goals. Like he's been the guy that Charlotte needed him to be, which they don't need a DP striker. They needed a goal scorer, and he's gone and done that. And I think, I don't think Nico's skillless, but I don't think his skill set fits in with what Frazier needs to do to end the season.
I think there's just 4 similar players in the Rapids, which is Colin Warner, Jack Price, and Mosquito. I think they all play almost exactly the same.
Yeah, like, and Warner's been getting all the time with 2, so they are invested in Warner's development. I think more so than Mosquito, who just kind of rides the bench up at the first team. So it's like, why not, right? If Austin wants to give you some GAM money, let him spread his wings and fly, baby.
Yeah,
Colin Warner's also older, and he's from like Aurora. So
Yappy might be a guy too. He hasn't even turned 18 yet. I don't think he turns 18 until the fall. I think there's always the potential. Yeah, I think there's always potential for a young guy to go, and he hasn't broken through the striker rotation. I think he's really only had the one appearance longer than stoppage time this season. Where, I think he came in the 80th against it was either the Portland game, it could have been the first Kansas City game. It was one of those night games, and he played 10 minutes because the game was in hand, and they let him run, and he looked pretty good. But I mean, Rapids 2 has been so terrible that it's you hope that it doesn't impact the value of some of these kids that you have, because they have not.
Don't trade it, my Yappy or Yahya, dude.
Yahya cannot lose his Yahya, dude. He cannot.
I can't lose either or, man. They're so talented. Give them to Frazier, and Frazier will mold them, man. Like,
well, what's happening? What's the holdup here?
I just think they thought their window was wide open after last year, and they're like, we don't got the time to develop, and they went all in on veterans. And now that they're seeing, if they feel like it's too late to bring them back up, instead of having that like youth that they had with Bassett and Sammy Vines last year, they kind of went all in on veterans and they forgot about the kids. And you can't forget about the kids. You need the kids to push the first team to make the first team better.
That sounds like a DNVR Rapids shirt. Don't forget about the kids.
Yeah,
It's got a ring to it. Yeah.
Stay together for the kids.
Us-
Like that.
us
song.
and,
If we're
Klay
using
Thompson,
praise
man.
songs for motivation for Denver teams, we can throw "Stay Together." For
Like,
the
dude,
kids.
DNVR and Klay Thompson, we're on the same page here.
Yeah,
You know exactly what's going on.
For the kids. For the kids.
All right, yeah, it's that time, buddy. Throw it up there. Let's see it. Our guy, Friday night, he won't be on the Avs pregame or postgame or watch along because he is going to be at the altar, tying the knot, putting the ring on. And buddy. I mean, how you feeling? First off, where's your head at right now? You seem pretty calm, all things considered.
Yeah.
Oh, compared to how I was like for the last year and a half, I'm
Yes.
amazing. Because the days you're in, it's like, okay, I don't gotta worry. Everything's done. I just gotta go through the event now. So I'm chilling. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, whatever happens. It's gonna happen regardless. So just gonna enjoy whatever.
You're gonna hear someone tell you this, and it's wrong. So I'm gonna say this right now. The cliche is wrong. You can go to bed angry. You should go to bed angry. Sleep on it and talk about it the next day. Don't sleep next to someone who's mad at you. Don't do it. Go sleep on the couch if you have to, and then wake up the next day and figure it out. You can absolutely go to bed angry. Don't listen to him. That's my biggest advice. Is it's fine.
Yeah, I mean we can't stay up till 3 a.m. arguing, for many days. That's not gonna build good habits or routines.
It's okay.
It's a great point, Mitch.
Thank you, Cody.
I think there's a lot of on the day of a little bit of guilt or concern of did I not do this? Did I not do that? Bro, just send it. Just have a great time.
It's whenever I produce, man, I don't care if anybody's ready. We're doing
Exactly. I had a bit of a freak out in front of some of our wedding guests before the ceremony, Avoid that. You don't have to. It's okay. Stay close to the homies.
Andre, dude.
Yeah. Do what you gotta do to chill out. Do what you gotta do to chill yourself out. Enjoy your day, man.
We don't got time, but I need to hear this freak out later, dude. Like I need to hear what happened.
Look, this is the best thing about your wedding or Dre's wedding or my wedding is it is until your funeral, it's the last party where everyone you care about's there to party with you and for you, right? So be stoked that everyone you know is there and came to join and celebrate and have the best possible time. You deserve nothing but the best. I know everyone at DNVR is wishing you nothing but the best. Unfortunately, all of us will be working the Avs game, but hopefully we can catch the after party. And
I've already said this. Avalanche win. I'm calling in on the post-game show halfway drunk in the dance floor and just screaming, "Go Avs!"
You might get a cup. Depending on tonight, knock on some wood, but depending on tonight, you might win. There might be a cup won while you're partying your ass off.
That's my hopes. Those are my hopes. I can rewatch the game later and do all that crazy shit later, but
we'll do a rewatch along.
There we go.
All right, guys. One last thing I want to get in real quick is just a quick look ahead. Quick look ahead to Portland. 8:30. Me and Dre will be on the post game. We got you covered, baby. 8:30 p.m. kick here. The nightcap MLS fully after dark. Do you have one quick feeling on the game and what to watch for, and maybe a goal prediction or a score prediction, however you want? Yeah. You got something for me, bud?
I think Rapids get their first away win. I think they win 1-0. I think it's 1-0.
Let's go. Yeah, you got something? Or Andre. I already said
I'll go full pessimist and say Portland takes care of business and the road woes continue, though this does seem like a perfect time to be taking on the Timbers as they are not playing very well.
No, they've been actually playing pretty terribly, and so I'm on Team Yahir here. Where not only do we get a point, we get all three for the first time this season. It's going to happen eventually. Might as well be against a down Portland Timbers team, and I think more importantly, we get another Zardes goal, but this time from the run of play and not from the penalty spot. And then who knows what else? But I think it's a 2-1 win. No, 2-0 win. 2-0. Yarby gets his road shutout for the first time.
Really needs it, man. Really needs it. I feel bad for him.
Should have had that Houston one. Didn't get it, so he needs it now.
He should have had the last one, too. He should have had the NYC one.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it here for DNVR Rapids. Shouts to my guy, Andre Simone, for making it in. You want to plug anything there, Andre?
No, man. Tune into all DNVR shows and love you, Yahya. Have a great Friday, man. Go Avs. And keep up the great work, guys. Excited for the post game this weekend.
So make sure you follow all of us. There's their Twitter handles down there. Mine's Mitch__Carroll. We're going to get those check marks, baby. So look out for that. Get to the DNVR Sports YouTube page. Like it, subscribe, all that. Help us out. Get your merch from the locker. I'm selling Avs like crazy right now. You want an all hail Caleb, baby? I got you. Get that order in. Other than that, man, you know what it is. Up the Pids.